Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our reaction and review for the fall of the House of Usher, Season 1, Episode 4, The Black Cat. What a crazy, intense, just excellent episode this is. Like, really, I still Prospero, I think, number one in what
Yeah,
happened to him, but this is my number two of the season so far.
100%. I feel the same way. This is my number 2 after Prospero, which was just such an incredible episode, but I mean, this was wild.
Yeah, if you're going to do this story, and I think this is very, very important, you have to really, really commit to it. The idea of, oh, here is Leo facing off against a quote unquote ordinary house cat who's clearly not an ordinary house cat. Like, it could have been so dumb, like so silly, and
Yeah.
there was a certain element of camp to it, but it was also scary and intense and really dramatic and well shot and creepy. It was everything I think you would want in like legitimate horror, and it was I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I absolutely love this episode. I thought they really set up everything really, really well with Leo meeting up with Verna, the choice where he
Yeah,
made the choice and how he actually ended up here.
yeah, I don't like Leo at all. There's no surprise to anybody. I never got over what you did to the original Pluto, and so
Yeah.
you really had this coming. But we'll get a little bit more into all of that. The Edgar Allan Poe influence here, like
Mhm.
so much more good stuff. But before we do, hit that subscribe button for more throughout all of the fall of the House of Usher, which is just maybe the show of Halloween. It feels there's always a lot of other stuff out there, but this is just so well done so far.
This is the show of Halloween for me easily. I mean, yeah, there's lots of great stuff out there, but this show just has completely taken me by surprise. I knew it was going to be good, but
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be quite this good. But yes, we're going to be here throughout all of it, bringing you reviews of every single episode.
Yes.
So hit that subscribe button and stick with us.
I think what's especially impressive here is that the Black Cat as origin story by Poe, this is not the most elaborate thing that he's ever written. It's not the most complicated thing. Once again, it is the idea of basically someone being terrorized by a black hat to the point that they're, destroying everything
Mhm.
around them. The through line, I think, both in the story and both on the show is the idea of guilt. And there's a difference as to why that guilt exists between, the main character of the Black Cat, the show, the main character of the Black Cat, the source material. But the theme is still there. And on the show, it is that Leo, I think, gets driven to this guilt and this pain so much because of what he did to the original Pluto back earlier this season. And how all of this unfolds is just crazy upon crazy.
Yeah, he feels really bad that, he did this to Pluto. He knows how much it means to his partner, and he's lied to his partner, just be like, "Hey, Pluto's out there somewhere. I'm sure Pluto will come back." He's gone to a whole bunch of shelters
Yeah,
looking for another Pluto, a Pluto replacement, and he finally, of course, runs into Verna,
yeah,
who is just happens to have an exact replica of Pluto, to where she has told him multiple times,
yeah,
this cat is not for adoption. You cannot adopt this
yeah,
cat. So that's where the choice is. He has the choice to be like, okay, I've been told no,
yeah.
so I can leave, or I can offer to buy her anything she wants, and I'll put in so many donations. I'll make sure all these cats get adopted if I can just have this cat. Choice made.
I really like how they presented the choice in this episode because I was kind of worried after the last couple that it was going to be like, okay, here's Verna again at the end of the episode making another offer. And while I think the performances are really good, I
Mhm.
don't necessarily need to see the same exact thing every single time. So to have it be a little bit earlier in the episode,
Mhm.
and we all knew what Leo was going to do because he was there for the first place with this nefarious purpose of, oh, I'm going to try to trick my man here into
Yeah.
thinking that I've given him the same cat that we already had. There were plenty of other seemingly very, very nice cats that he could have taken, but no, he does this. And then lo and behold, this Pluto or whatever you want to call it is a total nightmare, the worst, most violent cat of all time.
It was also a really nice detail with Verna when we saw her at the shelter that she was wearing a cat collar with a little bell on it. And we all know that she's a shapeshifter. We've seen her become a whole bunch of different people. We've already seen her become an animal in the last episode.
Yeah.
It felt like she was going to become this black cat, or she was going to be able to have some sort of control over this black cat. And that is definitely what it feels like was happening. Because, oh my goodness, did this cat ever terrorize Leo? And I didn't feel bad about it at all.
No,
I mean, this cat was like scratching out his eye, bringing him like piles of, animals, like all kinds of nonsense.
it was really dark and twisted, obviously, how they presented it, but also how they escalated it to the point where
Yeah.
we see all those just like rodents in the bathtub at one
Yep.
point. Like, this cat is taking it to the extreme. And we all sort of knew that eventually this was going to drive Leo mad because with
Hmm.
the way this cat was acting, this cat was never going to like voluntarily leave his place. Like, its whole objective is I am here to give you the worst time possible and interrupt every single part of your life, interrupt your relationship,
Yep.
drive you crazy when it comes to that. And I the thing I'm most interested in, and the show didn't really give us an answer on it, is just that if Leo had decided, you know what, I went through all this to bring this cat back, but it's just not worth it. I'm just going to come clean about what happened to the original Pluto and try to find a way to fix things with my man. Like, would that have actually stopped anything, or was the choice already made at that point?
Well, and it was interesting too because his man ended up sort of blaming it on drug use and was kind of like, "Hey, I
Yeah.
know I agreed to you're going to live your life the way you're going to live it, but like maybe a little bit cutting back. Like things are getting so out of control and I understand you've lost two siblings and you're really in it and I get it, but like things are getting really bad for you." So a lot of this is all then going to be seemingly blamed on this, that
Yeah.
when his partner's going to be questioned on it, it's going to be, well, he was on so many different drugs. I came home
Mhm.
and he's punching holes in the wall, like,
Yeah.
and so that's sort of what happened. Like he was getting increasingly more like kind of crazy with how much he was taking.
The one thing I will really say about all of this is that when Verna is giving her typical Verna spiel and she's like talking about cats are such important hunters, they do this when they're hunting,
I
I'm just
know.
sitting back and being like, you know what? There's a cat that I know that does not do any of this, that will look at a fly, be like, oh, there's a fly, and then it'll just not care whatsoever.
I had a cat for 21 years, and I once watched him where I picked up a pair of pants and a mouse dropped out of it, and he just watched it go. I was like, thanks a lot, dude. Like, I'm
Yeah.
really glad job well done. Job
Yeah,
well
the
done.
the fall of the House of Usher is really making some broad assumptions here about the majority of cats.
Right.
Let's just put it that way. But no, this everything with Leo is still it's the highlight of this episode just because it is so big and broad and extreme, and even the way he ultimately goes where he sees the cat outside on the balcony, he runs towards it and falls straight off. I the whole time I was like, okay, how's he gonna go, and
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming for some reason.
No, I didn't either. And then, of course, we saw the cat, Verna, with the actual Pluto collar, which I thought was a nice touch to it because we know that he disposed of the real Pluto. And then when he went to the shelter, she was wearing the little bell. But when he came back and was like, oh, guess who showed up? It's Pluto. Except, the collar's gone. Somebody must have taken it. Yeah, Verna took it.
It's weird because I understand that this is such a dark episode about cats, but to have that presentation of the cat at the end where you kind of have like an innocent meow, it just like that warmed my heart for some reason. I understand everything that came before, but I was like, you know what? Cats aren't so bad. That's the message they're trying to. It's Leo who's the real villain here.
Okay, and we still have everything that's going on with Maury because Pym came to Frederick and was like, this phone was found on her. Whose phone is this? He's like, I don't know. It's not hers. He's trying everything to get into this phone because he does not understand why his wife was at that party.
Yeah.
And I think he knows in his heart why his wife's at that party. There's only one reason you're at that party.
Yeah. It's
It's the party. And, if she's there, then that's why she's there. But of course, I think because there's no way to really talk to her or ask her, and Prospero's gone, like
yeah.
there's just no one to talk to. This phone might hold the answers, and watching him like try to unlock it, to pull off her
Yeah.
bandages, try to fingerprint, try to face recognition. It was just painful to watch.
It's also painful because just the real answer is something that, he doesn't really want to face and he doesn't really want to think about and whatever was going on between the two of them. So I think instead he just goes through all of this charade, grasping at straws, looking for an answer he probably already knows. And even if he had the answer, what's he going to do about it? Prospero's gone. It's not
Yeah.
like there's anything that he can do other than eventually sort of look back and reflect, and we'll see what ends up happening here with Maury, but like really we already know what happens to Frederick in the end anyway.
Yeah, we do.
This is all just going to take a really dark turn, but I think, just like all these other characters, I think you would hope that at one point Frederick would start to see a few of the errors of his ways. It's just that none of these children are capable of that because they're all terrible.
Yeah, let's talk about Vic.
Yeah.
Because what's going on with her and Verna right now, where she's getting Verna to basically sign her life away,
Yeah.
like for reals, for reals. She knows that this heart mesh is not working, and she's been sort of, fudging all her papers, but she's about to test it on Verna, and Verna's even like, all right, if you tell me to trust you, I will trust you. And Vic's like, you can trust me.
Yeah.
Deal made, choice made. Like that was it right there. And
Yeah.
the interesting thing about Vic, though, is that I think she really believes what she's saying. She really believes this is going to work and that she's going to help this person. Even when she's talking about the device and explaining it to Verna, where Verna's like, oh, is that it? Yeah, that's it. It does this and monitors this. And like, this is going to change your life. I think Vic really believes it.
I think she does, and I think some of it is motivated by desperation, which is also a part of the problem because we know everything's going on with Roderick, and we know
Yes.
when you're doing research in general, you always want to be the one who said, I did it. Like, even in this field, you want to be like, I'm the one who's saving lives. I am the one who's really putting all this through. Is there a chance that something will go awry? Sure, but there's a chance something will go awry with everything. What makes this situation different? And what I think would be really interesting is, like you said, there's already basically a choice made here
Oh,
where
yeah.
Vic has decided, you know what, I'm just going to ignore whatever risks are out there, all these things that I can't do because I believe in this. I'm going to go forward with it. They don't really need to produce another moment like that for, Vic's eventual death episode. And
No.
once again, that can be them sort of shaking up the way in which they do that to sort of keep every one of these episodes a little bit unpredictable.
Yeah, because she also lied to Verna about her partner actually doing this surgery for her. Because I don't believe for 1 second that Vic has told her anything about this yet. This is all just off the books. She hasn't shared this with anybody. Nobody knows about it.
Vic is the closest thing we have to a mad scientist character
Yeah.
on this show. And I love a good mad scientist story, and that's what makes her pretty compelling. It also makes her inevitable end all the more interesting because of how dark this show has already gotten.
Mhm.
I don't get scared very easily when it comes to watching this sort of stuff. There are plenty of things that scare me in life. I'm not sitting here being like, look how brave I am, but it's like I don't get scared too much by what I've seen so far. What they might be doing with Vic's death episode, like that actually kind
I
of scares me
know.
a little bit.
Okay, let's talk about Madeline and Roderick for a second because
Yeah.
they have now seen Verna.
Yeah.
They looked back at the tapes of what was going on the night that Camille died, and the security guard that was there was clearly Verna. And man, when they saw her there, it was like they had seen a ghost. They absolutely knew something wasn't right, and it was whatever deal they made with her was coming back to get paid. They both knew it.
They both knew it, but I think they both also know at this point there's nothing they can do about it because
No.
you can't just like go to these other children and be like, oh, this is happening. This person's coming to, get back what we have bargained in the past. It's like, one, they're not going to believe you. Two, they're all so self-centered that they're just going to be like, well, I'm just going to go do this or that or whatever.
Yeah, if they go and tell, I mean, how do you tell them that?
Yeah.
Oh, we made a bargain with a shapeshifter for our future, and now they're back to pay. Who's going to
Yeah.
believe that? And I mean, Roderick did tell Madeline about his sickness, which does come with like hallucinations and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I mean, the kids could have found out about that too and just been like, "Oh, Dad, you're just hallucinating. It's not a real thing."
Yeah, this is just the situation where the snowball is becoming an avalanche, and you have to sit back and watch it and hope somewhere within your gut that maybe something will come and stop it. But the problem with these kids is like there's nothing that can happen to make that happen. I mean, we've seen all three of these remaining children at this point all do bad things already and all sort of set the stage for whatever inevitable is going to be coming to them.
Okay, we also saw Augie and Roderick meet for the
Yeah,
first time in the past, where, he's investigating some stuff that's going on, was just like, hey, your signatures on all these
yeah,
forms for all these things that all look like maybe they're not your signature. Did you sign this? He's kind of like, I can't confirm or deny. Goes in the next day, talks to Griswold's like, oh, this is absolutely not my signature. So like, what is going on? Watching the way
yeah,
that Griswold like put that all together and was just like, we're a team player. You say
yeah.
yes, sir, sort of thing. The same thing that we had seen Roderick say at another point. It was really surprising how much influence Griswold has on who Roderick has become because
Yeah.
they've basically shifted positions as the same guy.
And I don't think Roderick would even ever admit to that. I think he would be in such denial that he has become anything like him when
He's repeating the same
yeah,
words, man. It's absolutely happening. But yeah, he'd be in denial
yeah,
about it.
he's repeating the same words. He's not even more different. He's not any different. And I think, we talked a little bit about the relationship between Poe and the real Griswold, where they
Mhm.
were kind of rivals. I think they probably both had more in common than either one of them cared to admit. And I think it's the same with this Griswold and Roderick on the show, where they sort of have these parts of themselves. And, we see Roderick trying to come to terms with this. And there's this real meeting of the minds that happens with him and Madeline and Annabelle, where we have like this rare moment of agreement with Madeline and Annabelle, where I think they just both happen to land on the same thing for very different reasons.
Yeah, where they decide that they're gonna take their time with this, and they've pushed Roderick to take his time with this so he can find the right moment to pull Griswold down.
I feel so bad. I feel so bad for Annabelle, and I hope she doesn't turn out to be somebody just like terrible because I don't think she realizes what she is going to end up helping to create, and
Yep.
that's going to be something she wants no part in. And I don't think she's going to make it to the finale. So I think at some point over the next couple weeks,
No.
things are hitting the fan.
Yeah, no, I don't think she survives either.
This is just. Man, I'm so excited for what's coming up next. We're not watching ahead before we're doing these videos, so we're just left with these images of the Black Cat and the downfall of Leo. But so
Yep.
far, as the rest of the season goes this well, and hopefully we get some more clues on the informant before long too, we're gonna be really happy.
It's Lenore.
I already said I like your Lenore theory. I think it's Lenore too. It just makes the most sense.
It makes the most sense. She doesn't really have anything to lose, and it still feels like such an innocent that she just thinks she's doing the right thing.
Okay, well, we will tie this up now, but go ahead, hit that subscribe button for more of the Fall of the House of Usher. And thank you so much to our patrons as well for your support. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we will see you here next time.